Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into regenerative finance, a concept that really rethinks traditional money systems by blending social responsibility, environmental care, and economic prosperity.
Right? Absolutely. It's like taking finance off the treadmill of short-term gains and showing it a completely different roadmap, huh?
Yes, exactly. Regenerative finance goes beyond just churning out profits. It integrates initiatives that restore communities, the environment, and even our economic
Yeah, I get
well-being.
that.
And it's a shift from extractive practices to like nurturing systems.
It almost feels like it's borrowing lessons from nature, right? You know, the way ecosystems work in cycles, regenerating over time.
Precisely, um, it's like nature's blueprint for sustainability. Instead of a straight line from production to waste, regenerative finance envisions a circular and holistic economic
That
system.
circular aspect is
Wouldn't you
key.
say?
Oh, for sure. And what's interesting is how it's not just any finance, but one focused on long-term impacts like investing in clean energy, sustainable agriculture, and community-driven projects.
Right. And that brings us to uh, decentralized green bonds. Think about it. These bonds are issued on blockchain platforms, letting investors worldwide participate without a central middleman. Isn't that
Yep,
something?
spreading participation? Definitely. It tokenizes ownership such that each token represents a fraction of the bond's value. So when you invest, you're directly funding projects like solar energy, which really transforms the idea of impact investing.
Exactly. And on top of that, these bonds operate via smart contracts, which automatically manage the terms, interest rates, maturity dates, distribution schedules, keeping everything transparent and accountable, especially
Yeah,
when it comes to
transparency is so
monitoring
crucial.
environmental impact.
Speaking of monitoring, regenerative finance often insists on verifying the actual benefits of investments using real-time data provided by blockchain. It builds trust, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's all about accountability. Every investor can see in real time how funds are employed to foster sustainability or reduce waste. It's a real game changer compared to traditional opaque systems.
And I love how this idea of transparency feeds back into community engagement. Local communities get a say in, for example, which new green projects should be funded next.
Right. Through structures like DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, these systems let token holders, including community members, participate in decision making processes,
That's
giving
so
real weight to
empowering.
local insights.
Now, I have a quick question though. Some might critique regenerative finance by saying, isn't it just DeFi with extra buzzwords? What do you think?
Good point. But while they do share some underlying technology foundations, regenerative finance is more um, mission driven. It focuses on sustainability and social equity, rather than just decentralizing finance and cutting out
Right?
intermediaries.
I see that
But
nuance.
I can understand the confusion sometimes.
Yeah, the differentiation is subtle but significant. DeFi ideally makes financial transactions more efficient, whereas regenerative finance, often abbreviated as ReFi, aims to use those innovations to foster a regenerative economy that actually repairs and renews.
Exactly right. DeFi can serve as a powerful tool in the ReFi toolbelt, as some projects even integrate eco friendly mining or sustainable staking protocols, making
Yes,
them more
exactly.
aligned with environmental goals.
Speaking of staking and yield farming, there's this emerging trend of regenerative staking where liquidity is put into projects that support sustainability. Investors can earn rewards while also helping the cause.
Absolutely, it's kind of like a win win situation. You get a yield on your investment, and simultaneously, you're supporting green projects. It's like planting a tree that gives fruits each year. Really sustainable in the
That's an
long term.
excellent analogy. And then there's the idea of circular finance models. These models ensure that funds continuously circulate, promoting industries that minimize waste and reuse resources. It's basically supporting supply chains that are less wasteful and more resilient.
Right. And that again ties back to the idea of a regenerative economy, one that doesn't just take, it gives back in a cyclical way. For instance, a circular finance fund might invest in companies that produce eco friendly goods or focus on minimal waste practices, aligning
Absolutely,
economic
that's
growth with
innovation at its
environmental health.
best. And isn't it fascinating how these concepts are permeating Web3? With blockchain, transparency reaches another level. Impact measurements become verifiable and community driven.
Yes, totally. Web3 adds another dimension. It allows for decentralized governance, where every stakeholder can, have a say in how
And that
funds are
increases
allocated to
accountability.
regenerative projects, making investments even more socially conscious.
So, when we think about it, the fusion of regenerative finance with Web3 isn't just technical, it's philosophical, merging technology with a set of values that prioritize long term, sustainable progress.
Exactly. It's like a shift from short-term profit motives to long-term societal benefit. Instead of bull markets that ignore environmental consequences, here, investments are about creating lasting positive impact.
Yes, exactly.
And this approach might just be what we need for future economic resilience.
There's also this notion of socially responsible lending and borrowing. It's not only about investment returns, but also about enabling projects that bring community benefits, like better education and health services.
True, and that social angle is what separates regenerative finance from traditional models. Traditional finance has often been critiqued for its focus on short-term expansion and, inequality.
Absolutely.
Regenerative finance is basically saying, let's fix that by directly addressing socioeconomic disparities.
Now, a bit of a challenge. Some critics might argue that these systems, especially when built on blockchain, can be too idealistic and might struggle with scalability. How would you respond to that?
That's a fair critique. There are hurdles to overcome. Not every project will succeed because of scalability issues, regulatory challenges, or even the evolving nature of technology. But the beauty of regenerative finance is its adaptability. As the ecosystem matures, these models can streamline, optimize, and scale responsibly.
Yeah, I see
It's
your
an
point.
iterative journey towards a better system.
Certainly, it's like any innovative practice. There's trial and error, continuous improvement, and the willingness to adapt.
Right. And with smart contracts getting upgraded and community-driven feedback loops in place, the entire ecosystem has a built-in mechanism for evolution.
That's a great insight.
Evolution is key when balancing innovation and sustainability.
And let's not forget the role of early advocates like Paul Hawken and John Fullerton, whose ideas have laid the groundwork for today's regenerative economy. Their work reminds us that the concept isn't entirely new. It's an evolution of thinking that's been around for a long time.
Exactly. The notion of mimicking nature's regenerative rhythms isn't revolutionary in itself, but applying it to finance in such a deliberate, structured way is. It's bridging the gap between ecological principles and economic practices.
Bridging that gap
in
is the
so many
challenge of our
industries.
time. So, in sum, regenerative finance, or ReFi, promotes a mindset where financial decisions go hand in hand with environmental and social renewal. It's a holistic system that redefines success beyond immediate profit.
Yes, that's it in a nutshell. By embracing long-term thinking, transparency, community engagement, and the innovations of Web3, regenerative finance is not just an alternative. It's a necessary evolution to build a sustainable, resilient economy.
Absolutely, a
And a
necessary
fascinating
evolution.
journey to keep an eye on for future progress.
Wow, what a journey it is. I'm excited to see how more projects adopt these principles and bring regenerative finance into the mainstream.
Me too. It's like watching the seed of a tree we all plant, which eventually grows and helps sustain not just one ecosystem, but the whole planet.
Yep, that's beautifully
And it
put.
definitely gives us hope for the future.
Well, that's all from our deep dive into regenerative finance. Thanks for that engaging conversation. It's been enlightening, really.
Thank you as well. Let's keep an eye on these evolving models that truly aim for more than just financial gain. They truly aim for a regenerative, sustainable future.